This meeting of the Penn Township Board of Supervisors, Wednesday, July 30th, 2014, will now come to order. We'll stand for a pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. That being said, his first item on the agenda is executive sessions. There was none held since last night, but there will be some tonight continuing on in regards to personnel issues later on in the meeting. Before we get into recognition of visitors, there's something that I would like to address after Solicitor Wagner left last month. I would like to address the issue that Mr. Fickle brought up on the floor about the perjury that I committed and Helen committed. While we have Solicitor Wagner here, I'm going to deal with that entire thing, and as it's in here, Mr. Fickle mentioned that Secretary Kleinpeter replied to his right-to-know request the same day he got a copy of the requested letter from the district attorney. Mr. Fickle stated that Chairman Holman and Secretary Kleinpeter signed an unsworn affidavit under penalty of perjury that the letter was specifically to Chairman Holman, which it was. Mr. Fickle stated that the letter was addressed to the Board of Supervisors. The enclosed letter had supervisors on it. The letter addressed to me, unsolicited letter, was addressed to me and me only. Mr. Fickle stated the letter was addressed to the board and asked why Chairman Holman did not share it with former Supervisor C.C. Noviger and Supervisor McGuire. That's a good question. Chairman Holman stated it was faxed to the township office and he assumed Secretary Kleinpeter gave a copy to the other supervisors. The facts come in before I received my letter. My letter came open, sealed back up, and was told it was not read. But yet I never had any acknowledgement, and I told Helen today she needs to be on the ball when telling the truth in this matter. I'm not out here, by God, to cause anybody any trouble, other than to put it out here. She doesn't deserve to have a thing of perjury hung upon her, in all fairness. She did not do that. Chairman Holman stated the fax was received the day before he received the letter. I have that fax, which Helen, today, as I talked to her about it again one more time, cannot understand how I got it, where it came from, and I got it without of the township office. That fax, that letter stamped in this township. She admits she received it. Did you know?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So she received that. That never got carried on to CC or whatnot. I said nothing because I was sitting back to see what would take place in this. Because we've had other administrative problems here. I wanted to see how that was handled. Chairman Holman stated the fax was received the day before he received letters. He said the letter was addressed to the Penn Township Supervisors. The letter enclosed, but the envelope was addressed to him. Chairman Holman said he forwarded the letter to the property authorities, which I did. Never kept a copy of it. Chairman Holman said Mr. Fickle made a request to the district attorney, even through the right-to-know office in Harrisburg. He appealed it, and the appeal was upheld. So let's say if the appeal held it through the highest level of the appeals, our secretary must have done something as a right-to-know office that was correct in regards to that right-to-know request. And it was denied. We were upheld in that matter.
Yes.
Okay. And was, said we were correct in not providing a copy to Mr. Fickles that came from that highest level. So I want you to know, and I'll refer this to Solicitor Wagner, whether he sees whether there was any perjury committed here by myself or by Helen Kleinpeter in regards to this matter.
Well, with the utmost respect, I'd have to see what was signed. From what you've said and what I understand, no. Perjury is completely different topic than what's being discussed, but I'd have to see what was signed.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
I have to see it now.
Okay.
Carry on, I'll look at it.
So I
but
just
I'm not,
want that made for the matter of the record, that it goes in the record here tonight, and that what's here, it gets corrected. And in all fairness to her, I was only a signatory signer as a witness to her signature, nothing more, which could have been signed by anybody. Didn't have to be anybody. It could have been anybody. Could have been Libby, could have been anybody as a witness to her
So did
signature.
my signature.
That's correct. So I didn't sign any affidavit or anything, by golly, that recreated perjury in any manner, shape, or form, and I understand a lot different. I wanted that corrected tonight before we get into this meeting, because there was a big buzz immediately after that, all over the place, about what Henry did. So if I've done something wrong, and there's charges to be brought, bring them. But I don't know where we've done anything, by golly, that's outside of the law. And I pursued that pretty heavy from last month to this month. So that's all I can say. Yes, as to why Helen didn't forward that letter that she received to the other supervisors, put it at the bin, as does normal, she's yet to answer that. And that was just a little bit out of my control. So at that, I'd like to move on with the meeting. And recognition of visitors. Cindy Radel is the first one on there.
Yeah.
Okay. I am here today to get approval for a holding tank for our concession trailer that we're going to be putting in Duncannon, and have that approved until the sewer actually goes through, that we will eventually have to put up to. So basically, that's why I'm here, to get the holding tank approved. And I have the information of who does that, who we're going to get pumped out. He also has his own site where he disposes of the gray water. The only thing that I don't have right now is his signature on these papers that I needed to bring. I also went up today and took pictures of the holding tank, which I was not able to
We have an application
because my
process.
computer.
Yes.
Where's the application?
She didn't get it
Well,
completed.
that's what we need to get.
Okay.
And this is the tank itself. It's a 275-gallon holding tank.
Plastic above ground.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you talked to our SEO about that.
He said if you gentlemen would agree to it, he would, and the paperwork's all done, he would send it up to DEP for approval.
Okay, so it has to go to DEP for approval.
Okay.
Okay.
And we don't have,
Well, there has to be an application
Yep, has to
first.
be an
Yes.
application.
And I don't think there's an
No.
application having been filed yet.
you don't have all the signatures?
Well, no, I don't.
Okay, then it's not, has to be
We
filed.
need to get the application, and we'll refer it to the SEO, who can refer it to DEP.
Okay. I guess that's it. So I have to get another application?
No. The holding.
This one, I
Yes.
just need the signature and then that application can be submitted?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And the other issue was the inspector.
Yes. Mrs. Hand had a outside inspector come in to inspect the electrical, not our people. And I got the name and the permit number from Mrs. Radel here, but it's not, he's not on the list from LNI that's on the website of being an approved inspector.
Okay.
And if he was on the list, you guys would have to decide whether you would allow him to, allow that inspection to be approved through our UCC code.
If we have no record of
No.
allowing my inspector, then
Then-
moot issue, you're not gonna use it.
Right, exactly. So-
So you'll have-
You'll use our UCC code inspector.
Yeah. Which means you'll come in and fill out the permit,
Okay.
and we'll send it up to him to look at it, and he'll, once he approves, he does that and sends it back, we can issue it, and you can have him come in and re-inspect it.
Okay, so this permit is what I have to have to you with signatures before we can go any further, is
For the
that
holding
correct?
tank,
Yes,
yes,
okay,
that's what they're saying.
okay. All right, well, thank you very much.
Okay. Cece?
Nothing this time, thank you.
Okay. Greg?
No, I'm just,
Oh, okay. Linda Gauss? Bob Gauss?
No.
Mr. Johnson?
No, I did come see what happened, thank you.
Roy Crick?
yep, that's me. I got two minor things. One, has to do with the streets up on Sunshine Hill. Last year, it might have been the year before, they patched a little bit where there were some cracks. Well, there's vegetation growing up, and this year, I mean, I'm up and down there every day, just about every day. A lot of vegetation coming up, and the road is starting to break apart, especially along the edge. I didn't know if you're aware of it, or if there's any plans to do something. Down at my house, where I live, I went out with the bottle of Roundup and killed it off. Because I understand from what I've been told, that this stuff growing will start to spread and it'll crack even more.
Yep.
So,
Yes, to answer your question, chap, is Monday, we're supposed to pave Ashmar on this road coming in here. We've got these roads ready, and plus we had some other things that were really important getting done. When that comes back, Ken Mullen will be coming on with the crew out there, and we will be around taking care of those cracks, taking care of that up there. We're gonna spend the rest of the summer doing what we didn't get to because every other day we've got rained on and can't do it. No excuses, but
Well,
you're on the
understand.
schedule.
but the last time they were up there, with what I was told, I had my driveway redone last year. And I asked one of the guys there, and I says, when you go out here on the highway, I says, shouldn't you blow the dirt out of those cracks?
They're supposed to.
Well, they didn't do it the last time, because there's grass coming up through the new asphalt.
And they're supposed to be, and I just bought yesterday more weed killer by golly to mix with the two kind that we use to put on now. I
Good.
just bought another 2.5 gallon of it yesterday for another 60, 80 bucks.
Well,
I know, it's stuff's salty, but we have it out there, it's sitting out in the shed. As soon as we get this paid, we'll be back on the maintenance of the roads here.
Okay. Second thing. You know where I live.
Mm-hmm.
People right down over the hill, they have 2 dogs. They're tied up, 6 o'clock this morning. As you can see, I've got a hearing problem, one in each ear. I'm in bed, and they barking woke me up. Now, usually I can live through or sleep through almost anything. But 6 o'clock in the morning, and my neighbor tells me, yeah, the other morning she was out to walk her dog and they were barking then. You go out and sit in the patio, they're barking. Sometimes they'll bark for an hour.
Okay.
Now, the dog law apparently can't do anything because they are tied. But the noise, I don't think you just have to put up with that. I mean, somebody should be able to pick up the phone and say, hey, you got a problem there, stop it before we have to send somebody out. The same family, and a family down the street, they have 2 young children, I think probably 8, 9 years old, and they're on that street in the evenings with their 2-wheeled electric motorcycle. Now, so far, there hasn't been a lot of traffic down there. I just want to bring it to your attention before somebody comes along, hits one of those kids, and then you're going to say, well, gee, we didn't think we were hurting anything. Kids don't belong in the street. They have 2 acres of property that they could ride those things on, but yet they got to go out on the street. So I just want to bring it to your attention. If something happens, I told you.
Thanks, chap, because if we don't know it, we can't do nothing about
Now,
it.
there was a car on Sunday morning, drove through the neighborhood, and one this morning drove through, about 7:30. Make that 19:30, or 7:30 in the evening, and I think you might be able to see what I'm talking
Okay.
about, okay?
Yeah, we've talked to those people about the dog before, so.
You did.
Yeah.
You might as well save your breath, because we tried to talk to them, and my wife called her a couple of years ago, and she hung up on her. Next time she says, well, you're gonna have to talk to my husband.
Yeah, and that's who, I spoke to the husband before. I think at one time he would come home and let the dog out and then fall asleep, and the dog would be out there barking.
Yeah, well, there's 2 of
And
them.
he brought him in, now they got 2 of them.
Yeah. People like that shouldn't have pets. Or if you want a pet, get a rock.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, chap.
Karen Potiker?
Are you guys ready for me now?
Let's do it, make it quick, please.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm here just to follow up from last month's meeting a little bit about some of the concerns that were raised in our opening as a taxpayer at this point. So can you tell me, well, let's just start with what permits, I came into the office and I looked at some of the permits that Mr. Morrison had actually filed in his situation to get caught up. And I found some things as well as you guys did and noted those and dropped them off with Helen. So let's just start with that one first and see how far along is he, were other corrections made, where are you guys heading with all this?
Well, we paid a lot of attention to this thing, I have anyhow, coming in with these permits that come in. I guess to give you an update the way I see it, and correct me if I'm wrong on this. He applied for the building permit so he could get an occupancy permit down at the maintenance shed.
Yes.
Okay. Now, the mechanical inspection was never done by the UCC code inspector or anything brought up to date down there on that. So he has that to do, okay, which they supposedly agreed that they're going to do that. We do not have anything back yet from the municipal authority that says that everything is fine there the whole way down the line yet. And he knows, and he's been told, that we need that also. Mr. Mahon's been told that that has to come in here for us too also. So to make sure that what he's doing, one more time, he's not beating the system like we've had take place in the past. The barn up there on that conditional use that they won that hearing by default, okay, which we all know about. He put an application in for that. He only lost that on what was done on the, he only won what was in the conditional use. That did not include pouring the concrete, putting mechanical in there, doing any other electrical or any other mechanical work or et cetera in there. And I think even the parking lot on the outside is not included with that. Now,
Yeah.
Richard, the solicitor, has reviewed that. It's only what they applied for. They applied for a new building permit that wanted all this stuff with this permit. And when I was looking at it, picked up on it, no, I didn't think so. They forwarded that information to him. So at the present time, before he can get anything there that would fall in line with what happened on that hearing, he has to resubmit that application that applies only to what they want on that conditional use hearing.
Okay,
Am I not correct on that, Richard?
so your plan is currently not to accept anything other than what was put in the conditional use for the barn?
That's correct.
And that original permit down there that I circled and put a question mark on, because all those things haven't been brought in, you are waiting for those things before you sign for the.
And I mentioned them, yes,
Yes.
Okay.
right here tonight. Municipal authority, and he needs to get,
Yes.
he never had the UCC code inspection done on the mechanic or anything like that in there done on that.
Okay, all right, very good.
We had no record of that being done by any inspector that we had.
No, we did not.
And we
Mr. Hollenball said today that he's gonna do it, and then he's gonna have to bill him again for this mechanical inspection, but
Okay.
that's what Mr. Hollenball said today, he will do it.
What are the plans for any type of monitoring for Mr. Morrison's projects now as we move forward?
Well, that's a good question. Karen, my concern is, yes, that when you go back in this, that we just go in and start pouring concrete and stuff because of the isolated area. And I asked Rich, what, do we have the right to go in and monitor that there isn't more done than what he's doing monthly?
Well, I think you do.
He thinks we do.
I think you
So
do.
that's, if we do, we will be monitoring that he doesn't do more than what he's allowed to.
Okay.
That's been the problem in the past. He just went ahead and done, huh?
We don't have a building inspector, do we? We use a UCC, but we don't have a code, specific
No,
code.
well, we have a code enforcement officer,
Yeah.
okay?
But you don't go out in the field, do you? Or do
No,
you?
I don't. Normally, anything like that, we send the
They just
police
sent-
out.
She asked us, and I've been up there a couple times since then anyway to check. I think they went back to the barn one
I mean,
time to
that's
get
one of those-
product out of the barn, but they have, I guess they're allowed to store stuff there, but they're not allowed to go back and get it out yet because they don't have a permit to do that. But they haven't poured any concrete over all the mesh that they had in there from before. It looks like the same as it was when I looked at it before.
Okay, what's the township's plans with the mesh and things that were put in outside of the permit? Are we going to do anything moving forward about that with the piping for the,
Heated floor.
the radiant floor heating? Is he gonna be able to apply for that permit and get this?
Well, it would be part of it, he'd have to go through another hearing, would he not, Rich?
It's not part of the conditional
It's not
use
part of the
application, right?
Yeah,
No,
Never was.
it was never part of it. Let me digress for 30 seconds, because I've been advocating this for years. particularly when I was solicitor for 11 different municipalities around here. Most municipalities around here can't justify having a full-time employee doing code enforcement or inspection. I noticed in the minutes somebody talked about a township manager. This township tried it years ago and that kind of fell flat in its face. I'm surprised that municipalities haven't collectively got together, because I got somebody back here from Wheatfield, and hire somebody, if it's 10 hours a week here, 10 hours a week there, 10 hours a week there, and be up to date on the various ordinances in each municipality and serve as a building inspector. I mean, it would make sense.
And we're growing, the whole area is growing.
I've said that, you probably could see that 15 years ago. I've been suggesting people consider that.
I don't really think we need a full-time person.
Oh, no, it doesn't justify it. It doesn't justify the expense. It doesn't justify it in Wheatfield. It doesn't justify it in Duncannon. It doesn't justify it in Rye or Marysville. But if you throw 8 hours a week in those 5 municipalities,
You can cover it all.
you can cover it all. And you wouldn't necessarily have that much invested to do it. Just a thought.
Yeah, I totally
Good
agree with
thought.
that. I heard
Yeah,
about
very
the
good
manager
thought.
coming back in here from a long time ago, and we all know from past history being in this township, that did not work. And, you know, I will be the first one here to make comments as to not approve something like that happening in the future for sure, so. But we do need somebody part-time coming in. Okay, Jim wanted to know, you know, is there gonna be any kind, is there any time limit placed on him meeting these permits and getting back to where he needs to be? With the old permits that he didn't apply for, like when he went and rebuilt everything, is there a time frame for him to meet that anymore? There was before, and then he rushed around trying to meet the sewage, you know, timeline. So now we have buildings that are up there. Is there some type of timeline that he has to meet now before we'll go back and tear down the buildings?
The way the UCC code states, if he is not done within a year, the township has the option to extend that a year, but if they don't wish to extend it a year, it's a year.
Okay, so when's his year up, Ellen, do you know?
For the barn, it hasn't started yet because they have not been issued.
Okay,
For the other one, let me see here, what date was that? Bonnie.
What's that?
Is he occupying the barn?
He's not supposed to be by the cease and desist.
Well, is he?
He has equipment in there, I mean, not equipment, he has, he's storage, yeah, he's storing stuff in
But is
there.
he moving stuff in and out?
I went out there one day and he was moving some stuff out of it.
Well, doesn't that violate the cease and desist?
Yeah,
Out of the barn.
He has been.
yeah,
Always
yeah, it
has
does.
been.
Yeah.
July 10th, 2015.
Been consistent.
July 10th,
Yes.
2015. Okay, so we have another date to actually work towards.
Yeah.
Okay.
As we go forward. I guess for right now, I'll just let myself ride and we'll just move on with others.
I might suggest the board direct a letter be sent to him that we have affirmative proof that despite the cease and desist, he's still utilizing the property. And if he still does it, you can authorize an injunction to be filed.
I'll make a motion to that effect, the recommendation of Solicitor Wyger. Do I hear a second?
I second the motion.
Motion made with a second. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. Helen, forward to 11.
Okay.
Okay?
Question. Being that we are not going to allow or we can't allow the heating that's already in the barn, do we send him a letter to remove it?
Absolutely.
Motion?
Yeah, okay. I'll make a motion to that effect.
I second.
Motion made with a second. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, so ordered. Okay?
Okay.
What's the status with his septic permit?
Pardon?
What's the status with his septic permit?
He
Sewer?
claims he's not gonna put any storage in the place at the present time.
That's
Into the barn.
That's
Into
in the barn, yeah.
On the
You're
barn.
talking
Yeah.
about the other.
But the
Yeah.
other building down there, there's still some hang-ups yet with the municipal authority for they get a complete approval before we can.
Does he have, he doesn't have a permit?
No.
Is he using the building?
Ooh.
Was there
He's-
employees in there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
every day.
Every day.
Every day.
Heroes.
And they have a Jiffy John sitting outside, and I asked about whether they had a permit for that.
Okay.
Although he's supposed to be, we got inspection that he's tied into the sewer.
The inspection that he's tied into the sewer,
Yeah, that's
but they
right.
haven't accepted the sewer, therefore, can he
I don't know,
use
do we
it?
have, do we allow Jiffy Johns?
No, you can't use it.
Okay,
Do we
then,
allow Jiffy
That
Johns?
was been the question, and I haven't been able to get out of the hall, down the hall, so he's not allowed to dump nothing in it.
No, not until the whole thing's approved. I mean,
Okay.
nobody would be.
yeah.
I was done, that's exactly the opposite of what I was being told or understood.
Okay. Question, Cece. Back in, for the maintenance building, back in '09, he got a connection notice to be allowed to connect. Does this still go in effect for his connection with the maintenance building? Once it's all done, and you guys are all happy with the main?
That would be the same building, right?
Yes, the maintenance
Right,
building,
because supposedly that's the only thing he's connecting at this point.
as far as I know.
But there, like you say, there were several components still missing.
Yes.
So that's not a completed workable system
Okay.
until the municipal authority is satisfied.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure this was still good.
Do we allow, I don't know this, do we allow Jiffy Johns?
He has to have a permit.
You have to have a
we
permit.
went-
Yes,
we're
I
gonna
do.
He has to have
Do
a
we does he have a
permit.
permit for the Jiffy John?
No.
We
But I
already
gave
sent
him
a letter
that.
to effect.
We sent a letter to that effect. He picked up the application for it. I
When?
haven't seen it. 2 weeks ago?
Well,
It would have been when he signed for this.
He's
I'm
not
sorry.
connected to the sewer.
No.
Although he has authority to do it, he hasn't met the requirements to do that. Number two, he has a Jiffy John, but he doesn't have a permit for the Jiffy John. And number three, despite both of those, he's still utilizing the building.
Okay. But we have a inspection report that says he tied into the sewer.
Yeah,
That building,
the sewer line from the building to the main,
Maine.
he had inspected from our UCC.
When was that?
That's correct.
Let's see.
Yes, and that's my question, is he using that? Is there any reason why? I was told there was no reason why he couldn't use it,
No,
but,
this is, oh, that's the barn, I'm sorry.
Then why have any rules?
what's that?
Then why have any rules?
Well-
Why require a mantrol test? Why require as-bills? You know, I mean, if that's the case, if you're gonna be allowed just to do what you want, then,
Well, we've been waiting for an answer back here in writing from the municipal authority, and I've been pursuing that hard,
Well,
Cece.
the last letter I got stated they had not accepted it.
They hadn't accepted it. It
Yes.
doesn't say he's not tied in.
I know
He
that.
is tied in.
That's not
So is he sending stuff down
The authority
line?
has not
yeah,
accepted the
that's a good
main.
question. I mean, the piping is there, but it's not been approved.
Okay, that is exactly my question. How could he get that inspected and tied it in and say that I guess he could use it? And I was told that I guess there's no reason why he couldn't use it, he's tied in. I would like to know where the effluent is going now, whether it's going down the pipe that's not approved, or whether it's still going out in the ground.
Right, exactly.
That's my question.
6:20.
This year.
That's when Mr. Hollenball went out.
We get a crossover here, Cece, between the municipal authority and us, where we've got the UCC code inspection. He made the tie-in, he got it inspected, he got it tested, et cetera. But the question of it is, at that point, was he allowed to send fluent down at the time he done? If he wasn't, then that connection should have never been made and should have never been tied in.
Right,
That is the question I can't get the answer to.
right. That'll be brought up next week.
Okay, thank you.
Helen, you mentioned a date. He has until July 10th of 15.
That's for the building permit for the maintenance, to get everything hooked up and everything inspected for the certificate of occupancy for the maintenance building.
All right, and you said they're good for a year.
Yeah.
So that was just issued July
Just-
10th of this year?
Yes. July 11th of this year.
But he has not had his mechanical inspection done there.
No,
So how did he get an occupancy?
he has not. He has not gotten an occupancy permit for that building.
but he has another year on the building permit.
On the one he had to renew the building permit for the maintenance building
So he got an extension.
to make sure that the septic was hooked up right, the normal inspections that we would have to do with the septic, with the mechanical that hasn't been done yet. And what else? Basically, what was not inspected from Glaze would have to be done. And that was part of the cease and desist. He had to get that permit.
Okay, but I'm saying this was not his first attempt at the permit.
No, this is a second attempt.
So
Okay.
this was an extension to his permit.
No, the first permit ran out, stopped. It expired. And then he was doing all this, I guess, the sewer portion of it. And then,
That was part of the plan from the beginning.
I know, but when the first permit ran out, it expired, he never came in asking for the year extension, so that permit stopped. He was not allowed to do,
It stopped, but he
Anything.
continued.
correct.
Why does this happen? I just don't understand. I guess I'm a little bit in the dark. So basically, you guys have allowed him to extend it.
We told him with the cease and desist, he had to get a new permit because the other one had expired a couple years ago,
Okay.
okay? To comply, to make everything, how to explain this? For all the other inspections that were not done at that time, done. He had to get a permit for that, pay for the inspections and all that. The first permit was with Glaze as our UCC, now we have Pannoni. If it's any lapse, they have to resubmit a complete new permit. It's not an extension.
It's not an extension. So in that, we've granted him an extra year.
When we sent the cease and desist, one of the things he had to do to comply with the cease and desist was to get that permit, so to get the rest of the inspections done. Because he wanted a certificate of occupancy, he wasn't going to get it until all the inspections were done, the sewer was in. Yeah.
Is there a penalty or anything that can be assessed for the time frame since it's been going on so long?
I don't know under the UCC.
Well, I'm still back on what's going on. He filed an application for a building permit years ago,
2010.
2010,
Mm-hmm.
and he got it,
He got it,
and it
Only for
expired.
footers.
only for footers, but he went above.
Right. And as a result, he's never filed a building out a permit for anything above the footers.
He has now.
Okay, and now is
This
July
year,
11th.
yes,
And was it granted? Was
yes.
his building permit
The
granted?
new building permit was granted.
How did it get granted if he was doing stuff that he wasn't allowed to do 3 years ago?
On the maintenance building. The maintenance is,
How did, if I comes in with an application for a building permit, you must fill out certain things. You must comply with certain sections of various ordinances to get that building permit.
Yes.
How did he get that when he's already got a building that he built without a permit to begin with?
Well, I guess,
Yeah.
you know, I'm gonna answer some of that to you, Richard. When he built the whole building, he just went ahead, put piping in, he called for the UCC code inspections, had those people come in and inspect them. As far as I'm concerned, they were all illegitimate, he shouldn't have been doing anything at that time. But Mr. Morrison done all that unbeknownst to an awful lot of people. Now, back to where you're at again, he came in and we forced him, he was either gonna have to do something, tear it down or vacate it down. We all went through that. He had a time period that he had to do that plan and get it into DEP, and that forced him to do the sewer project.
yes.
Am I not correct?
Yes.
That forced him to do the sewer project.
Has he complied with those timeframes?
No,
No,
No.
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 And this building permit was issued when?
July
July 11th?
11th.
So that if any aggrieved party wanted to file an appeal within 30 days, they would have the right to do that. That the permit was issued wrongfully. I'm just
Okay,
saying.
yeah.
It hasn't, but it hasn't.
I'm
been
just
signed.
saying.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for it to be signed.
It started.
Okay, so it's already.
It started.
Yes.
Wonderful, that's
There,
what
there
I
is
need to know.
there's a provision in the law that says, and I'm not suggesting anybody do anything, I'm just saying, there's a provision in the law that if a permit is issued and someone is aggrieved by the issuance of that permit, they will have under the local agency law, maybe the zoning law, depending upon exactly what the permit is, they have to pay particular attention to the nature of the permit. They have 30 days within which to file an appeal challenging the issuance of the permit. The same thing, if we had denied the permit, he would have had a 30-day time frame to say, you wrongfully denied my permit, and he could request a hearing. And you have to look at the specific section of the ordinances to know to where you take the appeal, whether it's a zoning hearing board, board of supervisors. There's specific regulations to follow. But that appeal process lasts for 30 days from July the 11th, which I'm just saying is August 10th.
Yeah.
Very good. That's what I needed to know, is what the nature of this was, so that I can move forward.
If this happened within the township, then why wouldn't the township step forward and file? I mean, can the township not?
Well, apparently the township issued the permit.
Yeah.
I have a question.
But-
How can he call, did he call Pannoni and get inspections on things?
Yes.
Now, Glaze,
Well, with the first permit, he called Glaze,
he called Pannoni.
but then he called Pannoni.
Okay,
This last, yes.
all right, I called Pannoni for an inspection, and I had to give all of the pertinent information,
Mm-hmm.
my permit number, and everything else that I had gotten. Now, why didn't he?
I can't answer that. That was directly between him and Pannoni.
Pannoni?
Pardon?
Is he in cahoots with Pannoni?
Is that our building inspector? right
Yes.
Yeah, that's where
find
you
out.
see.
Let's find out. Let's
That's
find
the
out.
question, how that got hooked up.
Let's
without
find that out.
The municipal authority by golly approving the system. And did I not question that, Helen?
Yes, you
How
did.
he even got it inspected without having a permit?
Well, that's,
Rich, question for you. Though the permit's been issued from the office, we as the supervisors, can we make a motion to have you pursue that on our behalf to appeal it, as supervisors?
Here's what I'm going through. I know exactly what you're asking. Do the supervisors have the authority to direct that an action be taken to challenge the issuance of the building permit? My hesitation is, I think we're the judges. I think if someone were to file an action saying the building permit officer incorrectly issued the permit, I think the appeal from that would be a hearing in front of the Board of Supervisors. And our role would be to take testimony and hear evidence and make a decision as to whether or not that was properly issued. So I don't think we would be correct in taking a position because of the potential of becoming judges. Because certain permits, when they're issued, if someone either applies for the permit and doesn't get it, or someone applies for it and gets it and a neighbor is upset with it, they take appeals, and that appeal, I believe, from a building permit, it comes back to us. But if I'll take a look at that before I leave, because otherwise, then your statement is correct. But I believe it comes back to us.
Correct, because underneath, we actually do represent all three branches of government as supervisors, uniquely as local government.
Well, that's correct, but the question is statutorily, where does the appeal go? Because I just have this in Adams County, Conewago Township. The code enforcement officer did not issue a street connection permit. And the question is, where was that appeal to go? And he took the appeal to the Court of Common Pleas under the zoning ordinance, and we successfully said he was wrong, and it got sent back for hearings in front of the Board of Supervisors, who act as judges. So I want to clear that up before we take any affirmative action stating whether we agree or don't agree with what happened. Probably do that tonight yet.
okay?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Not for me, I'll let the others.
Okay.
Ken Durr?
Not this time.
Okay. Mr. Fickle? Sean Stanley?
Couple questions. Where are we at with Chief Pickles being our EM director? Was that paperwork handed into the county yet?
That paperwork has been completed, is all here, and will be handed in. It was made, motion, and approved last year, and all the paperwork is now in order, everything that we need, and should be handed in, yes. It can be handed into the county, yes.
Okay.
The zoning officer.
Lenny Sizer?
Okay, since, I guess you guys passed that multi-jurisdictional hazard migration plan
Do we
that the county came up with, what does that do to our
the
Penn Township?
ordinance concerning the issuance of building permits?
Yeah.
At some point.
Well, that's a county plan. Helen, excuse me.
sorry.
The mitigation plan is the plan that we've always went with the counties. He wants
Yes.
to know what it does to our plan.
We don't have a
We don't
plan,
have a
we
plan,
piggyback
so-
on the counties.
We fall back on the county on that. Yeah,
Strictly on
and we
county.
always have. I mean, that was just something that we adopted one more time with their plan.
Okay. What's the status with the negotiations with the cable company?
Okay, that's laying here before us tonight, okay?
Yep. The lights went out in Purdy's, 7/9 through 7/10 for 19 hours. What happened? Anything as far as emergency? People need oxygen or, equipment ran for medical purposes?
Thank you.
Anything done at all? or-
We didn't hear anything. We have one complaint from George Posmoga why we didn't do something. One complaint from George Posmoga, okay? We were out less than 24 hours a day, while other people and people back the rest of the cove were out for multiple days. Multiple days. You know what I'm saying, Stan?
Let me ask you, what did you do in the cove for the multiple days? What
Well,
township?
there was nothing there to be done, Stanley. There was nobody that needed anything, there was nobody that asked for anything, there was nobody that came forward with it. We didn't have one complaint or anything come out of Purdy's other than Posmoga was wanting me to know, why aren't you doing something with PP&L by turning electric on? And the area back there that we were tied down, they had one wire went down, and so they come in and said, well, we don't have time to it, so they went down to King Court, and they pulled the switch and shut the whole valley down for 3 days. 2-3 days. And I find it amazing is how in Boiling Springs area, people 5, 6, 7 days all
That's right,
around.
yes.
And I checked with friends of
On the
mine that live
BCS.
over there that comes up to my place one night, they were without power. There was nothing put into effect over there. A lot of those areas, an awful lot of people were out of power. But if there would have been beyond a 24-hour period and this was going to extend and PP&L was saying we're not going to get it done, we'd have taken a look at doing something, yes.
He's done all this.
We had already contacted Mr. Solis, who was still filling in, and we were
Yeah,
ready
it's
to
all
go,
done.
Stanley.
And he's done all this.
That's all on the form.
Back when the budget was being talked about,
This, the drawings, copy of the
somebody made
permit.
mention of a new
Zoning
revenue
permit, no.
source for the
How do you get
police
it done if that
department.
wasn't
Okay.
right there? Driveway permit.
Didn't need a
So
What would
driveway.
that new
I got the
revenue
septic
source gonna
permit.
be?
Well, now I'm
Workers'
not,
compensation
I don't know
form.
what you're talking about, a new revenue
But you don't
source.
have a zoning permit.
Okay.
For me, we had talked about that, was that brought up at?
When I was
Make the
brought up
check
at the
to
budget
send one
meeting,
back
there
in
was a line item on the
2010.
budget, on, you have the budget, it was for $700 or something, and when I questioned it at the budget meeting, I think you said it was for security at the high school, they reimburse us.
Oh, they hire us for games. Okay. Yeah, local games.
That would be the only thing, if they paid us, yes, that would be a different revenue source that we'd have before, Stanley. No, if they hired you for that.
Yeah, for all the home games or any games that they think
Yes.
they're gonna charge with, usually always
Henry
football.
Jr.,
but I
I'm
think
sorry, Jeff
wrestling match, we
Coleman,
had a problem.
Jesse
So they
Boyer,
asked for an extra
and-
officer to be there all the time. And we can't have our
Bill Warren.
on-duty officer down all the
Yes, we do have a board of appeals.
So they pay an off-duty officer to come down.
Understand that. And as you always say about rumors, one came up the other day, a really strange rumor. Somebody mentioned that the Penn Township Police was at the cabin inside as security, and also that the Penn Township Police car was in the parking lot.
Want to take Wagner away?
So, I mean, like I said, you always say about rumors, I'm just bringing it up.
Nobody from Penn Township Police works at the cabin security.
Okay. Because that just came up the other day, and I said, hey, I'll bring it up.
Stanley,
I believe
it-
Oliver Township works there.
Yeah, I did hear that. I did hear the officer from,
And I don't think he's working there anymore, actually. I think
his name came up in the conversation,
I don't think he works there anymore, actually. He's pulled from there, so.
not me.
All they have
Never
is-
been there.
All they have
Stanley,
is
I had
their
a neighbor
own
about a year ago question me on that same thing, said they saw Chief Pickles going into the cabin in the uniform in the car. I immediately come in and questioned him on it. Yes, he went in after someone. Okay? And so that individual there knew where he was, and there was a problem with it. Then, and the report was there, it was legit. So you see someone going in there, but whether it was there or not, this last time, there's an awful lot of things being said, there's no truth to it.
Well, like I said, Penn Township's name come up,
Yep,
and then, like you said, Oliver Township officer name come up also, so.
I come down the road here last Saturday, and I see Penn Township police officer's car up at Buffalo. Also see him there with 2 other state police. 4 kids sprawled out there on the ground. And I immediately come in and asked what our officer was doing there. And he was called for an assist by the state police. That's what he was doing up there. So he didn't go up there on his own, he was called for, was he not?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
As we've been told outside of our area several times back. And as they've come in and helped us out.
That's it for me, thanks.
Jesse?
Just a question, I guess for Chief Pickles and for the supervisor. Is the bridge project down there on schedule?
It appears to be. I mean, last time I talked to them, they had some problems with the concrete being delivered. I guess the pump at the factory screwed up or something, so they were late in delivering it. But it seems like, I mean, they got the deck down. I mean, they're putting, now they're actually covering the deck.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Why I asked that was, my daughter was at the intersection of Gamber Corner Road and Creek Road, and she was going to turn left on Creek Road, and it was she and her daughter. And a car wanted to turn on Creek Road, or on Gamber Corner, came in behind her. It is a mess. Living out there, it's a mess. Horns blowing and everything. That's why I can't wait for this dang project to be finished.
You and everybody.
Yes, I understand it,
But so she was making a left on the creek.
Creek Road.
And instead of pulling in front of her, the guy pulls in behind her to go
Yeah.
up Gamber's Corner, which, you know, if somebody's coming, that's not a good idea either.
Yeah, and that's just one instance. I've been cut off there a couple times, and I'm not complaining about me. They hit me, it's okay, but other people I'm concerned about.
Jesse, 2 weeks ago, I was down there when they were setting the beams, and at that time, they felt that they were ahead. Now, I haven't been back since that, but when they were setting the beams, I went down to see where they were at down there. And everybody, they had their concrete stuff that they poured up front. They had a 14-day test, you know, strength-wise in 7 days, and things were moving along pretty good for them. I haven't been down lately to check on it, but they still claim that they felt that they're gonna have this thing ready to go before school. That's what they told me.
That's what they're shooting for.
That's what they're shooting.
Even if they get one lane open for school buses, what I heard from somebody else, I didn't go down there and confirm it with them yet, but they said they'd at least open it for school buses. Nothing else, so. But I haven't confirmed that yet, so. I don't wanna jinx everything, and, you know, but.
All right, Bob,
they
thank
said
you.
it's pretty good.
That's all I have.
Next.
Mr. Benner?
Nothing.
Craig?
Very quickly, I have our halfway through the year numbers. We're right on track with previous years. We've responded or been dispatched for, till as of June 30th, a total of 551 calls. 3 of those calls for the year, an ambulance was not available to respond. And then we had several that were second out calls where the first ambulance was already on an emergency. The second ambulance or third ambulance or fourth ambulance did not respond. But we maintain a 0 first due fail rate, where anytime we have all the ambulances available or in service, we always get an ambulance out. And we've done that since 2006, and we're the only agency in the county that has. So these numbers are up to date. It's not a breakdown with Penn Township. If you'd like that, I can certainly provide that. But it breaks down per month.
Got that back, thank you.
Categories of response. As always, if there's anything you need from me or on behalf of the EMS company, please don't hesitate to let us know. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
Okay,
And then one after.
all right.
What else we have?
Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Oberholtz?
Yes, I guess the 2 things. Did you guys do a traffic study?
Not yet, no, down there, no. We've been
Okay.
down there, but, you know, our machine's still out off Gamble Corner.
Okay, I saw that
But
there.
I've, you know, in fact, I just talked to Cliff this morning again on that too. So.
Okay, and
And it
then,
is, I mean, I've gone by there at the speed limit, and it's tough.
it's a little fast. Yeah, my main concern is during the school year, because, you know, my kids get on the bus stop right there at Cove Road, and
Yeah.
it's always a concern.
Absolutely.
And then, I'd also heard that the Morrisons was filing a permit to use Quail Trail for
That
their
has not
business.
happened,
That has not happened.
That has not happened?
no.
Okay.
Will it happen?
A permit for to use Quail Trail.
Right, but
That-
you said it has not happened, but will it happen, is the question.
Nobody's talked about it.
No.
No,
That's up to them if they file one, but nothing's been filed yet.
Okay, but nothing,
They have
sort
not.
of let that go, and you guys have let it go. And you're not
no,
pushing
it's part of the
for that.
cease and desist that if they want to access, they have to apply for it.
Okay,
They sent a letter saying they're not using Quail Trail except for commercials.
okay, all right, that's perfect, okay. I just wanted that clarified.
Yes.
Anything else?
Mr. Rice?
Yes, I guess I got a couple things. Just to be clear then, if they were to apply for a permit to use Quail Trail, whose decision is that to grant the permit or deny it?
That would be the roadmaster, wouldn't it?
What's that?
Wouldn't it be, that'd be an road occupancy
Well, we have to
permit?
see what he's gonna use it for, Helen.
Exactly.
Exactly. We have to see what the permit would say, or what the application would be.
So it wouldn't be a decision that you 3 would make
What's that?
if he applied for that permit? Because from what I understand from the last meeting, he was asked to apply for that permit. Luckily, he decided that he didn't need the permit.
He was asked to apply
Yeah,
for
It
that?
was part of the
it's part
cease and
that-
desist.
That letter.
Part of the cease and desist?
Yes.
And that was my question last time, is why ask him to apply for something that so many of the people that are sitting here are adamantly against?
Yeah, he hasn't.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
now what happens if he does, or when he does?
Well, it's gonna depend what he asked for.
Okay.
But it's up to you guys.
Yes.
So we just really need to keep on top of it, come in and ask our
That's correct.
secretary and hope that we're being told that the honest truth from her, if there's been any permits applied.
That's fine.
Another thing, in terms of this flooring and piping that he has, now there's a cease and desist on that, I understand you guys are gonna send a letter. He has his conditional use permit, correct? Now, anything that he does is violating that cease and desist, a violation of that conditional use permit, or is it just?
He's only permitted to do that which is within the 4 corners of the application.
There has been
In other
no,
words, if it's not part of the application, you can't do it. If it's part of the application, you can do it.
And as soon as he goes against
Part
that,
of the application to be filed.
and when he goes against that, he's in violation of.
That's correct.
Correct.
Okay.
and no permit has been issued for the barn yet.
Okay. On a separate issue, I was at the planning commission meeting on the 21st of July, and something was brought up about regulations in regard to distance that agricultural fertilizer can be spread from wellheads. There's some properties there Now what was said was it was 100 feet.
That's from the setback, not from the wellhead.
Not from the wellhead?
Yeah.
Okay, because we've done some measurements, and there's some wells along Morning Dove that are 22, the closest distance is 22 feet from the field where he's probably spreading fertilizer, judging by the height of the corn. Whose job is it to look into that? Who's
I'm not too sure that there isn't something out there in regards to that, the wellheads. I'm positive there is, Hal.
That's
An agricultural thing out there.
They said it was 100 feet from a wellhead.
I think you're not allowed, a wellhead, you're not allowed to do that.
Herbicides or fertilizer?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, I don't think that's in the zoning ordinance, I think that's in the.
No, I think that's some state regs.
Yes, yes.
That's the SEO.
Now,
Yeah.
Huh?
Right.
That would be the
Yes,
SEO.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and I guess my concern
Yeah, that's for DEP.
is that
Yeah.
when we've got several wells along there that are 30, 22 feet, 50 feet, 80 feet, whose responsibility does that fall on then to test the water, to see if something's contaminating those wells as a result?
So he's filing under a DEP permit for land application. Is that
For-
what I hear? Whatever what's he discharging?
What's he spreading on his land?
Herbicides and fertilizer.
He's actually a farmer.
Nitrogen and stuff like that.
And even his.
I know there's something out there heavy about the manure application. Max.
Manure
Yeah,
application.
yeah. I know that there's a heavy one out there.
I
in
just
North-
know about
Herbicide got our field
And
this
I'm-
year, the wind blew it.
I'm in total
Yeah, that's
support of the
fine.
agriculture,
Yep.
but I'm also in support of everybody's health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I just didn't know if
That would
that's
be
why I brought the
septic.
question up, is whose responsibility is it to figure that
Try
out?
to have you an answer for next month or sooner.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Because you actually brought up at the last meeting, or one of the meetings we were at, Mr. Holman, that what the sprays you were that were spraying alongside the roads was not as contaminated as what that farmer was putting on the field beside us.
That's correct. And that's some of the problems that you have out there, you know.
Yeah, and then I guess if we find out that there was something violated, then I wanna know whose responsibility it is then to have the water tested for every one of those wells that's within that distance. I mean, should that burden fall on the homeowners, because, we weren't the ones violating?
I understand your question, but the panacea of possibilities will take us till next month just to talk about it.
No,
For example,
I guess I'm just-
it could be the Department of Agriculture that has jurisdiction over it, and their regulations would perhaps call for certain remedial action that would place it on the burden on certain people. If it's a violation of DEP, then the remedial action may be different as far as the jurisdiction. So I think Max had what I would deem to be the more appropriate response at this point, and that would be to call our county, what's his name?
Conservation.
Mr. Kimball, from Green Acres, I just like him. Call him, he's our county conservation guy, and inquire about the wellhead, inquire about the fertilizer, inquire about whose jurisdiction it is to look into. There could be duplicate. Some of it might be DEP, some of it may be agriculture.
But to answer your question, if you wanted to, you could go on the Department of Agriculture's website.
Yes.
It actually gives you instructions how to have your water tested. Basically, just get a clean mason jar filled up with water, and then make an arrangement to drop it off.
Certainly, but when you start to test for things like fertilizers and that, it becomes a lot more expensive, so should that burden fall on the homeowner then?
Well, I believe the Department of Agriculture will do that for free.
Okay,
I believe.
I can certainly check into it.
So with that regards, for an agricultural place, do they have to get a permit or anything to spread the fertilizer and say where they're spreading it? And if so, who do they get that permit with?
It depends upon what they're spreading as to who they go to for the permit.
Okay.
Certain jurisdiction lies with DEP, certain jurisdiction with Department of Agriculture.
In certain sprays, they have to have a certification, they have to have a license to purchase them. And they have to be, there's certain things out there you can buy over the counter today, but there's an awful lot of stuff out there you have to go yearly to the classes to update yourself at them in order to purchase them and put them on the ground.
And am I understanding correctly that Mr. Morrison does not have his property in the ag security area?
I don't believe so, but I'd have to double check, but I don't believe so.
I don't believe that one is, though.
Mm-mm.
Nope.
Okay.
I mean, I have no problem if they wanna continue to grow corn and beans there, just don't spread the fertilizer
Yeah.
the whole way up against the houses.
Like we did the lime.
So, that, now, I guess, Henry, you had said that you were gonna try to look into something by next month if possible, but I guess he's saying that
Yeah.
it falls to us that we should be making these calls. I
That's-
just wanna know who should,
We all can. I think we can do it. I think
that
anybody.
information is
yeah.
readily available out there, you know
Okay.
what I'm saying? I mean, you can find that out real quick, you know what I'm saying?
certainly,
Okay?
yeah, thank you. That's all I have
Okay.
for this evening.
Jim Chisholm, Chrisman, that's all right.
No, not this time.
Okay. Mr. Frankenhauser,
No, not this time.
Doris Brenton, Lee Wright,
I'd like to add to what Mr. Boyer said down there,
Mr. Boyer died in 67, I'm Jess.
the redhead.
right,
The red.
he's right. He commented for you.
There was a motorcycle passed me right at his driveway tonight, probably about 70 mile an hour, surprised he wasn't there for him.
You have a backpack on. You were looking for the guy with the backpack the other night.
So, that's all I got.
Was it
Okay.
a black motorcycle or a blue?
Next one.
that's all on the list.
Okay, I have one other thing before we move on. We received a letter here. It says, kindness is no common virtue, it is a rare gift. On July 2nd, 2014, we had car trouble on routes 1115 near Susquehanna High School. A Duncannon fireman came to our aid and stayed with us until Penn Township Police arrived. We are so grateful for the wonderful treatment we received. Enclosed is a small donation for the Duncannon Fire Company. It said, a good deed is a reflection of a person's soul. Thank you so much. Wayne and Faye Weller, Mechanicsburg, with two $50 bills in it.
Wow.
And I would think that if we take that address there and ask our secretary to send them a thank you letter for it in regard to this, and I will see that this gets transferred into the Duncannon Fire Company.
She sent two letters, one to the police department
Okay.
and one to the fire department. We got a $50 bill and they got a $50 bill. We put our $50 bill in with their $50 bill. So the full 100 will go to the Duncannon Fire.
Okay, invoices, expenditures, Helen?
That's you.
That's me. It is just the normal monthly expenses this month. We did transfer some money from Orstown to Pliget this month as well.
Okay. What is the wish of the board for approving the invoice expenditures?
I move the invoices and expenditures report be approved.
Okay.
I second.
Motion made with second. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye. Ayes have it, so ordered. Treasurer's report. CDs?
Okay.
Yes.
We have two that are maturing shortly. One is for the Park and Rec. That's currently invested at Marysville for a 6-month term. Karen Tilkins has requested that it be renewed for another 6 months. And the rates are in your packet.
What is the wish of the board?
I move that the Park and Rec CD be reinvested at the Marysville Bank for 6 months at 0.2%.
Okay. Motion made, I'll second. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, so ordered.
The other CD is for the Capital Reserve. It's currently invested at Mifflintown Bank for an 18-month term. And the rates are in your packet as well. For 18 months again, the highest rates are at Landisburg or Mifflintown.
I move that the Capital Reserve CD be kept at Mifflintown Bank for 18 months at 0.45%.
I'll second the motion. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye. Aye. Ayes have it.
I got one question about that one. Oh, wait, no, that's October, never mind. That's October's capital reserve.
Once again, we're approaching budget time, and after we get 6 months in every year, I start looking at the numbers pretty hard as to where we are as coming into the year. Looking at our monies that we have in there, we have a large amount of money in our checking account for liquid fuels. I would like to see, when you have like $200,000 in there, plus what we have in the CD yet in there, whether we cannot put that in a money market or some other form that we get more interest on that goes in and out. It's laying there, we could be getting a lot more revenue possibly off of that through that matter. And when you need it to be able to do it without paying a penalty, checking the CD, I'd like to make a recommendation that Helen and Libby there, our treasurer secretary, take a look at that and see what they can come up with, what's available out there. It's a considerable amount of money that's not making us nothing, but yet it's there. We'll pay some of it out on a road project this year, but when you have it there for 6, 8, or 9 months at a time before it's taken out, you may as well get something out of it other than have it there in a checking account waiting to do a road job. So I'd make that motion, and the board will approve, and allow them to take a look at that, see if we can't come up with something better. I'll make that in the form of a motion.
I second the motion.
Okay, motion made with a second. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, so ordered.
The treasurer
I'll be
report.
happy to volunteer to see if I can increase it at the Hollywood Casino if you want.
Well, good as luck, it's the interest rate.
No, yeah, fun.
The treasurer report itself, Henry.
Pardon?
The treasurer report.
Okay,
I
treasurer.
move the treasurer's report be approved subject to audit.
Okay, I'll second. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, so ordered. Okay, minutes, June 25th, 2014, Perry County Hazard Mitigation Plan, and June 25th, 2014. What is the wish of the board for approval or rejection of those minutes?
I move the minutes for the 2 meetings, so I need to state them, 2 meetings by name in the motion.
No, you can just say the 2 meetings, June 25th.
25th.
2 meetings, June 25th.
Fifth.
Be approved.
Okay, motion's been made, I'll second. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye. Aye. Ayes have it, so ordered. Highway report. We advertised the grader, it was in the PSAPS magazine. I thought maybe we'd get more response. I have one guy called from Eastern PA, wanted to know whether he could buy the tires or rims off of it, because they have one and they absolutely can't get them. We had no other inquiries.
Same price for the tire and rims?
Yeah, so he, I told him that I know that they were in decent shape. So we didn't have it, but we did have some local inquiries about this grader out here, so I would like to put it in the form of a motion that we advertise it on the local TV screen and in the Duncannon Record, and I'm going to move the grader out along the road for people to see it, that it is there is for sale. There is some local people that were interested in it. I felt we ought to put it in PSAPs where we got statewide coverage on it. We didn't get the response that I thought we would. So I'll put that in form of motion. We allow Helen to do that.
And second.
Okay, motion made with a second. All those in favor by saying aye. Ayes have it. So ordered. Okay. Highway report and the rest of the report here. We put out our signs and notices today that we will be paving the road coming in here Monday, subject of no rain. The contractor on another job has met with me Tuesday. They're on schedule. We confirmed that today in Ashmore up in Susquehanna Hills. At that time, we'll be also paved up there on the rest of that road. Wanted to report that. We'll be putting notices back out Friday again, asking people not to park along the road. We have access in and out, and we've made provisions for anybody that has any emergencies or et cetera for the period of time to get in there. I will say we had a real good response to the poison hemlock thing. We had a lot of people called in. We had an awful lot of people come in. We had one guy come out and says, I wanted you to take a look what's in our yard. And we went out. It was not poison hemlock, but I looked up alongside of his garage, and it was growing full of it. So we removed it for him. Anywhere where we could find in Penn Township, along the state highway down here, against the banks at Marcello's, we got up. They allowed us to go in there, reach down over the bank so we didn't get hit with the traffic. We have a huge truck full out there of poison hemlock dried in the garage. And just as soon as we get a free time here, I'll take it down home and dig a hole down there with my backhoe. We'll dump it in and we'll burn it and bury it. We sprayed all the young stuff that we could find, especially there at the antique barn. We're loaded with it, growing in this parking lot and around. I see the state has got a little bit more involved in it. The bank there at King Core was full of it. And down in Hummel's Meadow among their cows, we waded across the creek and took some more out. And some people don't know what it is, but we got permission. You see it, you go in, you take it. So we've cleaned it all up, the right of way up along 274 up through here. It was just loaded with down the short right of way and down Valley Street. It's one of those things that we're doing the best we can to get it all. And we'll keep looking at it next year. The young growth that comes up, we got most of it before it's seeded this year. We got it before it went into seed. That makes a big difference because the young stuff that come up this year, we hit it pretty heavy with some glyphosate, which takes care of it. We finished Schoolhouse Road gutter cleaning down there between the rains. We still have a catch basin and a storm drain to replace in Schoolhouse, which we'll get to this year. Repairs on the garage roof out here. People come by and said your building's falling down out there. Yes, we had heavy snow come down off up there. That'll hold the spout. Pulled that up. We got up on the faseboard up there. That old aluminum roof that they put on there many, many years ago, around the nails when they drove them down in it, weeped water in and rotted some of the wood out of it. We looked at every way possible, went inside, took some of the panels down. You can't get in to get to what you need to do it and fix it. So I got a price from Martin Roofing over here, and I got the sheeting and I got new purlins out there. And we're going to replace that old aluminum roof out there on that half of the garage on the front side this year. The material, the screws, and everything is out there and new wood put in it. So we're going to put that. We can't put the spout back up and put the faseboard on until we do that. We have to make some repairs in there. So that stuff is laying out there, and we got about $1,500 for it. I figure we're going to get probably $5 for the aluminum. Off of that, we take it to the junkyard, which will offset that cost out there. So we'll see a new roof going up on this side of the building out here this year. The other side seems to be a little better, but snow hooks that they put on years ago, they just put them in there and they never put no cement around them. When the water went in around the screws and stuff, it went down in there and rotted out the purlins and done some damage in there. So we're taking care of it before the building falls down. Budget numbers for next year, taking a look at the road report. I had one of the contractors out. I'd like to go over those type of things for what we're taking a look at. I got a budget number here for next year's project of $193,000. That's a budget number, and that's not the bid that'll come in underneath that, but and this is for budget's sake. I'd like to get out of the dirt road business, and I would like to see the rest of Linton Hill paved, fixed up, from there down into Aqueduct. It's a problem for us every year. We put stone on it, we maintain it, grade it out, and come along in the wintertime and plow it off, the same as we did Hawes for years. That would get Penn Township out of the dirt road business out there, and it would be a paved road down there, 2 culverts out there to be replaced. I'd like to add that there's $193,000 there that since I came here, that we've got our liquid fuels monies back up. That we can spend that kind of money and make roads, do a mile road at a time. And at the end of next year, when you pay that, you're still gonna have another $200,000. And if that money is managed right, with the increase that you're gonna get, you're gonna be able to take maybe 20 grand a year and make your payments out of that instead of capital reserve for a new truck or a piece of equipment and still pave road. But when I came here in 2004, there was nothing in that fund. It's taken a long time to build it up, and we've paved a tremendous amount of roads. And since 2010, every year, we've paved a lot of roads. Now, I do have some line painting. When this is done, that we're gonna get the line painter in. I mentioned to Helen, we contacted them to get a price. We're gonna do butcher shop. We're gonna do those out on Faculty Road, and we'll line paint back in here again this year yet. That's in the budget to be done. So we're trying to keep the roads in good shape. We do have some maintenance. We've had a terrible time with the rain this year. By the time you get the tar buggy out, you want to go out here and you want to take care of some cracks, we get rained out. And but we've been very busy with an awful lot of trimming, a lot of repairing, a lot of the overgrowth this year has been tremendous. And we've had some limbs that fell down from the weight on. But we kept ourselves busy. We're still staying busy out there. We will be paving here next Monday if all goes well. That's all I have underneath the one thing I will say, I'll take that part of it to mention one more time. At this time of the year, I've looked at our township budget. We are in fine shape, folks. I can see money at the end of the year to be available to be put in capital reserve. I can see that there's going to be an excess. We've done that, and it's taken a good look at what you have, what you spend, and getting things done with it. We are going to be another year in good shape, unless something major happens. I just don't see it. So I'd like to report that to you for those that are interested midway through the year, that's exactly where we're at with that. I would like to, when I take a look at budget, I'm going to take this time underneath the highway part. I also take a look at budget. Greg, I've taken a look at your budget, and I would like to probably get with you. I'm going to mention some things here and go over what I see in your budget that you gave us, you know. I've taken some looks at it. And I do have some questions that maybe you would want to sit down. We could be here on this all night, you know, when you take a look at these issues, you know. I broke these things down as what you get for, you know, bills sent to collectors, less the payment accepted, the amount of them, the amount of money. Comes to $150. Subscribers insurance billing only $150, you know. For each action, each quantity, you know, you have 324. Each one breaks out to $150 a piece. Billed insurance, you know, 199 of them, $375 a piece for each one of those. Incidents billed to insurance with 100% reimbursement. Had 108 of them, and that equals $750 for each one of those that comes in to the EMS for each one of those. So if you take a look at that, and then the totals of 1,128 of the total, and 100% of those percentages, it comes out to like 216 for each one of those. I do have some other questions, Greg, that I think that you'll see why you know, you got some totals in here that don't match prior totals, different totals that refer to the same thing on pages, and you have dispatch and handled with different percentages there, and you can't hardly have 100% of both categories, you know. I'd like to talk to you about that. For last year, if you would take a look at the amount of calls in Penn Township for information for people who may be interested, Penn Township, you know, with the dispatched, you know, emergency calls 370, handled 339. You take the amount of money we give them, and you will find that Penn Township donates to every call. They go out at $43.82 last year. The other contributor that they have is Wheatfield out here. They donate $20,700 every call that they have, and 302 dispatched, 287 handled. They pay $72.13 for each call out of the money that they give out there, and that's the only donors that we have into that. I take a look here that we have Perry County Emergency Medical Services, approximate call volume, etc. I take a look at this. We have Marysville, Millerstown, etc. And we've got volunteers and career paid. And Duncannon EMS, we got them 50%, but I'd be interested as a 50% volunteer paid, full-time, part-time, or others. I'd be interested in seeing how that's broke down. You take a look at non-transport, which I found amazing in here. We got the non-emergency transport breakdown. We had 87, which you guys received $315 for each one of those calls. Wheelchair van transport, 90, $75 for those. Stretcher van ambulance transport, 38 of them, $100 a piece. Averaging out for 215 calls, $177 for each one of those. So just take a look at that. Take a look at your numbers that you have in here, and it would show to me that we have EMS on call about 32 hours a day. We have EMS response transport about 12 hours a day, according to your numbers that's in this. We have EMS documentation 4 hours a day, according to what we've submitted here, and station duties 6 hours a day. And so that's the employees' activities that you have there. And you have, I have one question. You have, for the work that's being out there, you have 2,000 hours in here, employee time commitment hours. That's 50 weeks at 40 hours a week, a year. And I see that, and that you have people doing that. But yet I also see back here where your budget and where you have EMS management consulting service for $42,000 to do that. Why are you paying $42,000? I guess the question is, I'd like to discuss with you for EMS management, and yet we still have people for 2,000 hours on the payroll doing the same thing. Question. I think some of this stuff needs to be matched. Your page 3 total don't match the number that you're looking here. There's a difference in that. Doesn't match on page 5 total non-emergency PUC building. $9,000 of miscellaneous. I'd like to know the source of that. Gift cards, I see. Holiday bonuses. I'd like to know who, if you want to give that out. I see you give gift cards and holiday bonuses out. Breakdown of expenses. You know, you have some in here. And the one question I asked there, why are you paying for 2,000 hours if you contract out in regards to that management consulting firm there? And if you take a look at what you proposed on that for next year, that number went up on the management proposal, if I'm not mistaken. And then if the donation goes to Penn Township for next year for $15,000, you would have $40 at the emergency calls in 2013 at $40.54, and Wheatfield would be $69.53 on the donation. There is the rumor, Sandy talks about rumors out there, and I question the rumor that's out there. Is it the municipalities that donate into the EMS, do those that subscribe to it get a better rate than those that are not subscribers to it? Is that in the factor in that?
Those that subscribe in Penn Township and Wheatfield Township get a $10 discount on the subscription.
And they get a $10 discount on the subscription.
Correct.
Okay. Well, I've got my own opinions about that, but I'll save them for myself, maybe to a later date in regards to that, Greg. I take a look at the end of the year balances. You know, I see you have a 2008 vehicle here, Horton Ambulance. It says that the vehicle asset's $40,000, but yet down below you say the liability on it's $107,000. And it says that was a auto pay, a 15-year term. In 2008, you say it's worth $40,000, but we got $107,000. I don't know whether that's owned, liability on it. I would assume that. We have a 1997 Ford here, ambulance 29.3 at $15,000. It says liability 1997 ambulance loan, 5 years at $15,000. And I just question, you know, the purchase of it and why we still got it listed as an asset of 15 and that. So I've taken a hard look at this budget like I do our own, and there's an awful lot of questions there that I would like to sit down with the other supervisors and yourself and have answers.
Gladly, at your convenience.
Huh?
Gladly, at your convenience.
You know what I'm saying? So that's, I took a hard look at this and sit down and spend some time on it, Greg.
Good.
Okay?
Good.
And so some of those questions that we we have out there, or I think are legitimate questions all the way through. I take a look at your expense account for next year, and that's where I see 900 EMS management consulting service expenses for $62,000 next year, plus 18 over last year. And are we going to maintain 2,000 hours yet on the same thing out there? I just kind of, I take a look at that, and it makes me wonder where we're at. Although I do take a look at your other categories down the line, minus 5,000 on the budget, minus 1,000, plus 8 on vehicle fleet insurance, etc., minus 1,000 office supplies, minus 1,000, minus 1,000, minus 300, minus 1,000, minus 4,000, etc., minus 2,000. So we have decreased that and rolled that back somewhere on your percentage of expenses for projected here. But I just, that management and consulting service, you sure you ain't like Penn Township, got yourself a township manager out there?
Correct.
That's what it costs us. $65,000 plus the benefits is almost $100,000 a year for a township manager, folks. It's expensive. And I just question, I would like to know what you get for that, or what we're getting for it out of our money that we're donating in there.
Certainly.
That's the, so I did take a hard look at it as I do our own budget, and we're working into our budget at that. At that, I'll conclude the highway report and move on to
just two things that stuck out to me. We talked about the average of 32 hours per day of coverage in a 24-hour period, and some of that is second due calls where we have multiple calls at the same time, so obviously there's overlap because you have two ambulances on the street. Some of that entails...
oh, that's okay. We can discuss that later, if you don't mind.
And the vehicle asset is, as you think, any vehicle loses value very quickly. I'd be curious what the township vehicles, what the police vehicles are worth versus what you owe. If you had to finance them, all our vehicles are financed because we don't have the cash reserves to pay for them. So, if you look at the $107,000, that ambulance was $180,000 new, and you've seen the two we bought since then have been very used because of that, trying to keep those expenses under control.
I don't know of any encumbrance in any township vehicles in the shed.
Okay, good. I wish we could say the same.
And I just questioned $40,000 against what was still indicated as owed on it, or that part of it. I'll let it go at that, Greg. I wouldn't mind sitting down with you. I invite the other two supervisors to do that, or one of us sit down and relay the information back. Penn Township Planning Commission.
They have nothing to report to you.
Zoning report, Helen?
It's in front of you. He did permits and all that.
Okay. Penn Township Park and Rec Board report?
SEO report.
Oh, excuse me. Storage Enforcement Officer report, yes, right there.
It's in front of you.
Yep. And I see here underneath Penn Township Park and Rec Board report, National Night Out. Now, did we get a letter invitation to it?
No, we actually haven't yet.
No, we haven't.
Huh?
No.
We have not yet.
Well, normally the supervisors get a invite. No.
Pickles, did you guys get an invitation?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
There's a new director this year, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We'll be down there. Okay. Karen, you have anything to offer under the Rec
Yes,
Board?
I have one thing. We've been doing a lot of work on the grounds and maintaining them and doing a lot of trimming and cutting, and what I wanted to bring to the board tonight was approval to purchase a leaf blower and also a weed whacker or trimmer, whatever you want to call it. Because it takes many long hours out there trying to clean everything up with a broom so that's why I would like to get a leaf blower. And also for the trimming, I don't have anything to trim with, so I would like to ask approval of the board if I could purchase a leaf blower and a trimmer.
Okay. Now, we have a problem with our groundskeeper doesn't want to use a weed whacker. We've been doing it for you. You want to spend that money?
Around up here?
Yep. We've been doing all your weed whacking, all the banks and everything for you out here and out along the edge out here.
Okay, and what about around the ball fields?
Around the ball fields,
The fences, the
fences, yeah.
posts and things
Uh-huh.
like that.
Well, that's fine. If you wanna purchase one, we have 3 of them out there. You're more
Oh, you
than
do?
welcome to use one,
Okay,
okay?
okay, then we would do that, but I would like to
Yeah.
purchase a leaf blower.
A leaf
For the
blower,
parking lot.
okay? We have one of them, we'll loan you too.
Okay.
If you want your own, so be it.
Yeah, 'cause I've been
I don't
bringing
have any problem with it.
Yeah, I've been bringing mine from over at the house using it.
Yeah, okay. What was the wish of the board?
So there's readily available that we could keep up here in our shed to use?
Well, we have it out there, I mean, we do use it when we're out there tarring and chipping, it won't be there all the time, and I guess I would just ask you to take a look at it. If you want one, I don't have any problem with getting you one, but you warranty you sitting there on the 2 cycles with the gas in them and how much you use them and whatnot. That's all I ask, you know, take a look at it. If you want one, I have no problem with giving you permission to buy one.
I'd like to purchase a leaf blower.
Now, you can purchase leaf blower.
Because I'm up here, you know, all
Okay.
different times of the day and night, and if everything's locked up and nobody's here, then I'd have it available to use.
Okay. What was the wish of the board? I'd personally like to see you have something that's decent though. Not no Kmart special.
No, I'll get it at Home Depot or Lowe's.
Huh?
I'll get it at Home Depot or Lowe's.
No, please don't. Let's get you one up here at Steel Dealers where you got repairs, where you got maintenance.
Yes.
And let's do the same we do with our chainsaws and whatnot. Okay?
Yes.
Then
Do I hear a
I
motion?
just asked approval if I could get a leaf blower.
Okay, yeah. I'd be glad to pick one up for you. Okay, how's that?
I make the motion.
Okay, motion made. Do I hear a second?
A second.
Motion made with a second. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. We'll see you get a leaf blower soon.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Karen. Penn Township Municipal Authority.
I don't have anything to report at this time. Since coming home from vacation, I've not been able to review the CD, which I have here, so I don't have anything at this time.
Okay. CC, you're on the board. Brian's the link on the board. You see some of the problems we got here tonight that's back and forth what transpired down there. One time I was told it's hooked up, there's no reason why you can't use it. I questioned that. I do not question the authority members or the board members, by golly, in regards to how this all came about. But I've had those issues in the back of my mind all the way through. I think we need to resolve it, and I'd ask you as a member of the board to take care of that Wednesday night.
Already made a note for next Wednesday.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Secretary's report.
Okay, first we have the HVAC contracts, if you gentlemen have had a chance to look at them. Nothing's changed since last month on the prices. We did get the different, what do you call it? The hourly rates. Did I put that into your boxes? I thought I did.
That was when we wanted to make sure them coming from Harrisburg again,
Yes.
especially down here in Marysville.
Yes,
And
yes.
what the rates were.
And I got
And I
that.
guess in order to move along with that, the rates weren't too much different, but.
No. This is the one I did not have for last month. And then I got Frylux and I have Thermaltech and all that. Here's the other ones, Henry.
Okay. Okay. This is stuff that I've already looked at all over, Brian, if you want to take a look at it. I would like to not table this or move on with it tonight. We looked at this before, but I would make a recommendation. Units on the roof are old. We currently have proposals in here to take a look at putting units in the sidewalls, starting at the police department and the municipal authority out here with heat pumps, the split systems hanging on the walls, okay? I would like to work into replacing these 25-year-old units. You know what we just paid for, they have one fan motor put on up here.
$740.
$700 some dollars and starting capacitors.
Yeah.
The units are old, we haven't lost a compressor yet, but it's 25 years and one of these days we're gonna have that. If you do that, you have one propane unit up here, you're gonna take out a system. One unit that can be taken out of the system at all by replacing those two. Comfort Tech has been here, is familiar with these units, and have been able to provide parts, and they're close when we got them, and they've always been here. Although they come in a little bit higher than the other ones, I would make a recommendation, and it's up to the board what they want to do, that they continue with them. I'd also make a recommendation that we also take a look at replacing these as necessary to get these old worn out units on the roof. They are starting to nickel and dime us year in and year out, and get us to the point where we're back on the heat pump system for heat and cooling, and get rid of this propane down here that's costing us huge amounts every month.
Well,
So-
actually, the propane's only in the winter, but still, it's 8 to 10.
How much a month?
8 to 10 for the year.
Yeah, 8 to 10 a year. And you can cut that cost down with the heat pump system and those type of systems. So that was what we're taking a look at. I gave Helen some places to look and a new one, and we got 3 proposals in.
We got 3 proposals for the police. We only got 1 proposal for the authority office.
Okay.
Because they came in before we added
Okay.
authority.
And so we've been rushed on that. I would offer that in regards to those proposals here following on tonight, that the supervisors take those proposals along and take a look at them and give us another month to get those others. But there's money in capital reserve to pay for this. There's also possibility, you know, in the police department they've offered. But the maintenance of this building and the upgrade of the building out here should be where we've been in the past taking care of it. Time has come. You need to start replacing them as you go. So what is the wish of the board in regards to the HVA oil furnace? You don't have to approve it tonight. If you want to carry it on, let me know. If you want to table, bring it back next month.
Well, I have a question. What's the typical term? Do we normally go with the 2 or 3 year, or when?
We normally go the 3 years.
3 years.
Okay. You said that Comfort Tech is the one that we have now, and they're close?
They're close. They're what, Marysville, aren't they, Helen?
Yeah.
After
Yes.
Valley. They've been here. Huh?
Flower Drive.
Yeah. So that's up to you guys.
I'll move that we award the HVAC and oil furnace maintenance contract to Comfort Tech for 3 years.
I second.
Okay, motion made with a second. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, so ordered. Thanks, we got that one off the table.
Yes.
Next, Helen, CPA request. for
CPA.
proposals. Yes.
There was a new thing put into your box, into your folder, showing the 3-year total costs. You didn't have that last month. Right now, we use Robert Morris, and we've used them for the last 6 years.
Mhm.
If you go with the 3 years, they are not the lowest bid. But if you go for a 1 year and then hope for better prices next year, Morris and Maher Drusel are the same price. We've never used Maher Drusel before.
Don't
We
know
have
if you're
used
right.
the other 3. So the question is, do you want to go a 3-year or 1 year? And
Is Marshall doing a good job in their audits for us?
they know our system. We've never had a problem with them. You guys get the report every year. I mean, they come in, and they do both us and the authority, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Are they up for renewal for you too?
Yes.
Okay.
We, if I may interject, we opted to stay with them because they are familiar with the system it's just easier on both ends.
Yes, and they have, with the new regulations came out, they have to do the authorities and insert the authorities audit into ours. So they can do it basically at the same time.
Which did not used to be the case.
No, we used to never have it. It just referenced that there was an audit.
Goes to the wish of the board.
I move we award the contract with certified public accountants to Roberts Morris Company for the 3-year term.
Okay, motion made, I'll second. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, so ordered.
Okay.
Okay, Helen?
Task check
Demolition
property.
bid, huh?
Task check.
Yes, Patrick down there, the issue we had last month, Pickles, where they stand down there in that demo down there?
It looks like they got down to the basement. They got the first level on the wood and everything off. There's several courses of block. I don't know exactly how many, but are still standing down there. There's trash that's buried on the side that hasn't been excavated or anything yet. And as far as I know, the septic system hasn't been filled either yet.
Sam said they had not received any report on that today.
No report of filling that septic system. Okay, what is the wish of the board, whether you continue? You're granted them 30 days, is what you granted them to get that down. They've had 30 days, 30 days, 30 days, and a couple years.
Wouldn't we need a new estimate at this point since part of the work has been done?
And when you have to, yeah, you would have to have a new estimate, you know, and then you gotta decide whether you wanna continue or what you wanna do.
I'm in favor of awarding a contract if they can complete it, but not at $6,500.
Well, I understand that. I guess, my concern is, if you're gonna do that, Rich, where do we stand in that? If we don't have to start all over with the process, noting where we went through or anything like that in the past, do we?
No, you can rebid it as was suggested by Brian, and then just go forward and get it done and lien the property. But you almost have to get another bid.
Yeah, you have to get another bid.
Unless the township does it themselves. I mean, it's to a point where the township would do it, but I don't know if there's enough time for, I mean,
There's no way to get a backhoe down in there where it's at. They're gonna take a small track hoe down in there with what the other guy had, and there is no way that I'm willing to take our backhoe in there on the side of that bank. There's a well there, you got the septic tank there, you got the slope, and you can't get in there to do it. It's gonna take a small track hoe on rubber, I mean, a small one. That was what the guy done. I was glad to see that. We, even with the equipment we got, do not have the means or the right equipment to get down in there and finish that. And then I guess the board has to decide what for shape you want to leave it in. We haven't heard no response from them, nothing back. They haven't come back to us, they haven't said nothing.
Plus, if the septic tank isn't the pump, we have to pay to have that pump, correct?
Yes.
That has to be done, yeah.
And filled.
And filled.
Yeah.
What was the wish of the board?
Well, I'd like to make the motion then, due to the lack of response from TZAC, that we go ahead and move forward in getting a new estimate on what it would take to finish the demolition, to pump the tank, to clean the tank, and get the property in reasonable condition.
Okay. We have to advertise that one more time, Rich, for opening for bids, right?
Well, it's less than the requirement. It may come out to be less than what you have to do.
I understand that, but we have one guy, you know, that, I mean, you're gonna have to re-advertise it, so, the general public again, to do what's left.
Yes.
And I'll have to generate a scope of work in order to do that.
Yes, from that perspective, yes.
I need a little more time taken.
Question on the motion, would your motion include filling the septic tank afterwards, or crushing it, as what the one term that was used?
Would it just need to be filled, or does it need to be crushed?
Somebody was throwing the term crushed around.
It did fill in the stone.
They
That's
fill
fine with me, whatever.
Yeah, just to fill them,
Yeah.
and I guess we're gonna have to send a letter to wherever she's at, and if we can find her. Yeah, to inform her that, you know, this is what's taking place. So the motion would to include that the well or the septic be pumped and filled.
Did they tear the building down the corner of Pickles? That little shed down in the corner?
I didn't notice that.
I didn't get down to look today.
And perhaps shed.
Huh?
And perhaps the shed.
And perhaps a shed. I mean, I'll have to generate a new scope for what's left
Mm-hmm.
to bid on. Okay? What's the wish of the board? I'll do it right away.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, motion been made. Second, all those in favor, give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, so ordered.
A question. On the minutes from last month that you approved this evening, from when she was here, is there anything stated in there as far as any kind of penalty? I had written down that she was given 30 days. Cost of the demo permit was waived. She has 30 days to have it cleaned up by this particular meeting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any notation as far as if you don't, then what? Is there anything in the minutes?
In my recollection, I'm going to say we never put a stipulation of a fine.
Meet the regulation. 30 days. If they don't complete the demolition, then we would proceed with the demolition and the lien against them and all that. I don't even know if she contacted Lenny like she was supposed to. Yeah, it's 30 days to demolish, have the septic tank pumped and filled, and, or we will place a lien.
Okay.
Just want to make that
Mm-hmm.
clear. Thank you.
CD resolution, Helen?
Oh, this is for the CD from,
No, we didn't
Oh.
vote on it, okay, but
Ah.
Ray moved second, all those in favor, give their consent by saying aye. Ayes have it, so
I
ordered.
thought you did.
I'm trying to get our solicitor out here, he's the highest paid of this group.
That's the engineers here.
No, actually, this resolution is for the CD from last month for the Park and Rec Board. We just need to pass it and sign off.
Okay,
I move the adoption of the resolution.
I'll second that motion. All those in favor, give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, so ordered.
Okay, next thing is the bulk fall cleanup packet.
Yep.
If the dates are good for you guys, I put in October 16th, 17th, and 18th. Thursday, Friday, 7 to 6, Saturday, 7 to 2. This is the same week we normally do it in October. This would have to be advertised for receiving the bids on the 25th and awarding in August.
Same conditions on the amount of tires and et cetera, Helen?
Yes, the
Okay.
amount of tires, I didn't change anything
saw you
on
had
any
it
of that.
ready, I did not
No
read it.
tires beyond 4 per household.
Copy of last year,
Yeah,
okay.
same thing.
Same thing, okay.
All I changed was the dates.
I'd like to make a motion that we advertise for the fall cleanup bid.
I second the motion.
Motion second, all those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, so ordered.
Okay, the rest of my stuff is information. You got the cap tax collection board information there where they are on money and everything. And the backup of the computers in the office has been completed, and every morning it comes on and says we're backing up what was changed from the day before.
Okay.
They have not sent us a bill yet.
Okay. Engineers report.
Huh?
Speeds?
Oh, I'm sorry. We skipped Mrs. Spees. Mrs. Spees in 2013 got 2 tax bills. I forgot her. She paid in May of 2013 occupation and per capita for us. And then she got a new bill in July because she retired and they changed her code and all that. And she paid again for the per capita. So she's asking for a refund of $5 from last year.
Make a motion that we grant her the refund of $5.
Okay.
I second.
Motion made with second, all those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, so ordered.
Okay, we'll take care of her. Thank you.
Okay, engineers report, Max, have at it.
One item, and that's McGuire Ford Financial Security Estimate. Attached a copy, should have a memo with the new copy. I had sent you a copy of their original one, Helen, and it was
Yeah.
subsequently revised. They added in the sanitary sewer connection information. So that one is fine. I recommend that you approve that estimate for financial security in the amount of $113,084.35. In accordance with their estimate, with the condition that that estimate be signed and sealed by the engineer. They're gonna send us that copy soon. I don't know what else they need to do to get a permit.
They get this, get me the letter of credit, we get the signatures, and we record the plan, and they can get their permit. Plurals, permits.
Okay.
Motion.
Motion?
Mm-hmm.
Accept that? I hear a motion.
Due to the fact that I'm distantly related to the McGuires, to avoid the possibility of conflict of interest, I will abstain from making the motion for the vote.
Okay. I talked to Max earlier today, there was some questions about it down there, we put those things all together, kind of included in it. I'll make a motion that we accept that,
The amount of it.
yeah, the amount of it, yes.
With the condition that they give us a signed and sealed copy.
Signed, sealed copies of it.
Yeah.
I second.
Motion made with second, all those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, so ordered.
One abstain.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Max. Police report, make it quick, Pickles.
Again, the police report in front of you, we're in the midst of
We're late.
of another grant from PennDOT. We're working that now. So then we did finally catch somebody dumping down at the Lanker property. It was not Lanker, it was another individual. It took us 3 times today, but we finally got him on his last trip. Hopefully, maybe it wasn't his last trip. And that's either being cleaned up now or will be cleaned up first thing in the morning by the contractor.
So we had just some free will dumpers at a place they thought they could dump?
Yep.
Okay.
It looked like it.
Okay.
Although they were told the landowner was looking for concrete to grind, so.
Yeah.
Don't know that it was as innocent as what it sounded.
Yeah.
Already have that.
Well, at least they're gonna be gathering that up, right?
They're gonna clean it up and some stuff that was dumped actually on the 4th of July that's gonna be cleaned up also. Then we're back to square one.
Okay, anything else?
Question?
Yes.
Generally speaking, on a misdemeanor complaint, what's the statute of limitations in those?
Misdemeanor, I guess it would depend what it was on.
2 years?
Generally 2.
Normally 2.
Very good, thank you.
Okay, anything else? Nothing else?
No.
Okay, I'll move on to solicitor's report.
This has been under my report for the last couple of months, and every time I go back to the office and inquire of my staff about the Ward property, what pops up is Warden, W-A-R-D-E-N. We've searched that, and there's nothing pending for a warden. Today, Helen said, oh, that's MW2 Inc. We'll check that out tomorrow, and I'll be on top of it. Because we were popping up nothing for Ward and Warden, except John Warden, which was a plan that's been tabled for years and years and years and years and years. The issue is actually an MW2 Inc. application. We'll be on it first thing in the morning, and I'll report back to Helen.
What's that in reference to, Rich?
There was a zoning permit issued to MW2 Inc. that was actually for property 1948 State Road to erect a fence, and the fence is only partially erected. And so the action that we're taking is filing an injunction against them for failing to put the fence up.
That's in the junkyard lead down there. There were some other things that are involved. There was a height thing, and we all took a look at that. They never put the fence up, they never put the gates up. That's all included in that, and just non-compliance with the mess that they got down there. It's supposed to be high enough you can't see it. So that was done, and I just kept asking what happened to it. So we know now. Before you leave, Solicitor White, I got one thing, and then I'll move on. I'd like to form a committee. And I want to make sure that what I'm saying, whether it can be right, it can be done, or whether there's any suggestions to do this. In the past, this Board of Supervisors, the Planning Commission, myself, and many others have been accused of holding up all the economic development in this township. I don't know where that takes place with the Planning Commission. I don't know where it would take place in our comprehensive plan. It's close to the county, and a lot of people took a look at that. We spent an awful lot of time in that. But we hear an awful lot of, you ought to have this. You should have this. Why don't you have a plan? And et cetera. Need something a little more concrete about this. I've talked to the Planning Commission in regard to this. There's been an awful lot of suggestions out there. I heard some suggestions here a year ago about we don't have this. We went through all this, some suggestions, anything from putting a tax on people to raise revenue, to create jobs, to bring people into township. The Planning Commission thought about it also. They put out the request at the end of the comprehensive plan, and it didn't progress forward to create a committee. But in lieu of being blamed that I stopped the fitness center up here in the business campus, and in lieu of that I stopped all building process when we posted the sign for the ag security around the township, and I took a terrible beating from neighbors that believed that stuff, and there was nothing to none of it. I don't know where it exists, but it's not too hard to figure why some of it gets out there. I would like to form a committee to give a report to supervisors. A report that after the ongoing investigation, or as they would continue from month to month, where our Planning Commission, our comp plan, and where the supervisors are holding up economic development. I would like that committee to make a list. Fast food franchises, large businesses, i.e. Walmart, Kmart, Giant, Carnes, AutoZone, Vance, restaurant chains, Perkins, Ruben Tuesday, Olive Garden, Damon's, Cracker Barrel, etc. Contact these people on a township letterhead to the corporates, invite them to our township and show them the plots of what we have available, that we would like to bring this type of business in here, show them what we have and where it's at. And I'm not sure where it's at or where it's at, but there's been an awful lot of indication that we're stopping this sort of thing. A report on the business campus, why it hasn't been built out. It comes in here to the township, we're directly accused right to your face that we're the ones that's holding it up. I would like a committee to be willing to take a look at that, take a look at it. I've been questioned, why don't we have dining facilities there? The township has been labeled as the holdup. I don't know of anybody that applied up there that we didn't work and go out of our way and grant what was needed to get people in there, including a truck terminal that wanted to go in there, we granted. Well, I took a lot of flack about we don't want that type of stuff, but it was granted to try to make that work and show and how, where we are doing this, where we are holding this up. Explain to me why development plans going on for 8 years that developer hasn't moved out, hasn't built out, and show me where this township is holding them up. There's been nothing moved on that yet. We've bent over backwards with that on continuances and anything else out there, and it's just something to keep alive that I'm just not sure that the economics of the county or the country at this time will allow it or permit it. I don't know. But let someone take a look at that. That's just a few of the ideas on that. We're looking for someone to chair this committee. There's a lot of people that have come in here that have expressed their concerns, have expressed their discontent with the township. I would like to see some of those people chair this committee and bring these reports back. The Planning Commission is open to it. I sure am open to it. But I will tell you one more time that I have attended those economic committees with the county. I've sat there with them, and we've talked about Penn Township in general and where we're at. And the biggest thing that they offered, and it was offered by a lot of people that's in the business like Max is and a lot of other professional people, support the small businesses in Penn Township, because we do not have the geography, by golly, here for large ones. Very few places are we located here in Penn Township. But it cannot be said that this township or this board of supervisors or our planning commission is keeping these people from coming in. The geography of the township of 1115, I've looked at it, I reported on it before, I reported it at the county with the economic committees when they had them up there, and they were very realistic in where we at and where we're at. We are kind of like hamstrung with 1115. We got one exit on and off. It comes right into housing. Not much to build out there. You can't go in and tell them people they got to tear their houses down. We want to put this there and that and whatnot. But growth, fellas, I'm going to tell you, since I took office as supervisor in 1976, has come to Penn Township, continues to come to Penn Township, and there is substantial growth in Penn Township, but not on an unmanageable scale. It's been a manageable growth the whole way through. So I'm looking for a chairman to chair this, someone who's wanting to appoint committee members and report back to the supervisors every month and the planning commission to get involved with it. I asked Solicitor Wagner whether I'm saying anything wrong, whether there's anything that would be anything adverse to doing something like this, but I'm just tired, folks. You want to do something? Let's step up to the plate and do it. I'm right there to help. Looking for a chair. We'll take nominations, names come in, or
let me understand what you're suggesting. You're looking for an ad hoc advisory
That's
committee
correct.
who
That's
would
correct.
be willing to look at different
That's right.
economic choices that could be made in the township.
That's correct, Rick.
That's an ad hoc committee. If someone wants to do that, they can. I'm not sure the Township Board of Supervisors under the St. Clair Township Code has the authority to direct that one be created. They can ask if one be created.
And that's what I'm doing. I'm asking for one to be created.
And if somebody wants to do it, fine. If not, then you're kind of stuck with nobody wanting to do it.
I'm opening up the door there for new ideas. We're willing to listen. The Planning Commission is willing to listen and bring those ideas forth and show us where our problem is. Show us what you're going to do. Show us the benefits from what your ideas are, how quick it's going to benefit the township and the revenues it's going to bring in. I don't have a bit of problem with someone wanting to do that. Nobody's tied anybody's hands that they can't.
Would that be something worthy of putting in the newsletter coming out for fall?
And we're glad to do that, Helen. I thought really by this time, from the trend that was here with the comp plan, that we would have someone would want to do this, that there'd be someone willing to jump on this immediately. And so I opened up the door. I'm not afraid of it. I think it's a good idea. But it's a committee that would have to volunteer and want to bring ideas back and want to bring them back. It was just like the sewer advisory committee that they had years ago that done that work. Those people spent a lot of time on it, a lot of work on it. You could do the same thing here. It's not that this is a closed session that nobody wants to do anything with it. That's all I have, Rich. I just wanted to hear your advice on that.
If you, I mean, you can request an advisory board
if someone
from
wants.
any, it's just I don't think you have the authority under the code to appoint one that has any specific powers.
But there's nothing wrong with putting it out here and inviting someone to do that and bring their input, bring their ideas back to the board.
Certainly, if you want to do
And they can make a presentation every month.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't last more than half an hour each presentation.
Okay, I understand. It could be written and submitted.
Or it's after you on the list. One or the other.
Yeah, if it comes after the engineer and solicitor's report, so be it.
Yeah, okay. Is there anybody else would have anything here that may bring up the need for the solicitor to comment on before he leaves underneath the rest of the agenda?
Henry,
Yes.
I don't know if this is for the solicitor, but I sat here for quite some time and I say I come to see what's happening next. And you give a breakdown on the EMS report.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's all these other reports that you set up there and have, and with my ears, I don't always know what's going on. What would be the possibility of Helen preparing an extra packet of all of your reports that you have there and put in the hallway out here that we could review them before we come into the meeting? You wouldn't have to make a copy for everybody.
Everything that's in our agenda?
Yeah.
Do I have any problem with you seeing what's in that packet? Not at all. Do you, Rich?
No.
Okay.
But I was wondering, because it's on here, it said that this report here, and I just often wondered what was in those reports.
Sure. If you want to see what's in the
Minutes are not approved, so you have to.
Well, yeah, the difficulty with it, a lot of it's not necessarily approved.
As I understand.
But it would be
by
the same thing
token-
that they have.
But this is what these people have come in, that they weren't aware of.
Once
of what
approved,
was coming at them.
once approved, they can see anything they want.
Yeah. Sure. You can see anything you want.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, I kept it often wondered, because we get a police report on the table out here, but we don't get other.
Well, you're not gonna get, and I understand what you're saying, but there are some reports, in all due respect, you may never see. For example, if I have a sensitive matter that has to do with personnel, and I've gotta give a report to these 3 guys in writing, nobody has a right to see that.
I can appreciate that. But then, at some point in time, it would be interesting to see what took place or what happened.
There are some municipalities that will have a report prepared in anticipation of an agenda item, and instead of reading the report, they'll say, report's approved, they'll leave it out here for people to see, and it cuts right through the meeting. And then they get complaints, we don't spend enough time talking about the subject matter.
That's the thing, this is what gets thrown out, is time spent on it. Because what caught my attention with the EMS review that was given is that I asked some time ago that the $25,000 that goes yearly to the fire company, that I thought would have accumulated up to about $100,000. You weren't sure what took place, but after the meeting, I was told by the fire chief that they had already received $55,000 of that. But that had never been made, is where that $55,000 was spent or why or anything. I just often, that's where I'm up with. We got the detailed breakdown on the EMS.
Over a couple of years.
Over a couple of years. Yeah. Over a couple of years that they got that.
Okay, that's what I was wondering how it was broke down or whatever, because there was never any, early on it was understood that they were gonna come to the township for it.
Their donation, out of their donation, they had to take 25 out of that, Bob, and put that away for
Capital reserve.
capital reserve.
Right,
That's correct.
understanding. And I was hoping that it would be $100,000, because, like I say, one day I hope that I'm back into cooperating with them people. You know, it's hard walking up and down the street not talking to them people.
Okay?
That's it, thank you. But I understand the status of the report, you know, to a degree, you know. Thank you.
President, see you in August.
See you, Jim.
Okay. Permit report, Helen?
One new home coming in. Just pretty much normal stuff here. We did one driveway permit for Mr. Bassler out on Gamber's Corner Road.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And that's it.
Okay, correspondence.
All right. First thing you have is the FEMA letter saying that the hazard mitigation plan has been approved by FEMA. That's pretty much just information. The next one is the Central West COG. 05, 06, something like that. We piggyback off of them to purchase a vehicle. Don't remember which one. Ever since then, every year they send us, do you want to pay the membership dues? We haven't since we piggybacked.
Yeah, okay.
So that, you guys have to decide on.
And when was the last time we used them?
4, 5, 6, something like that. It was, I don't know, was that the police vehicle or was it a truck?
Well, that was back when I came.
First came on.
Yeah, when I first come on, they had went, that was when the COG issue was here, but anything that we've dealt with that we want to buy or we want before, we have never been able to come up as good a prices with the COG, Brian, as what we've been able to come through with the piggyback program, let me tell you.
Yeah.
And no matter what we dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
So they never followed through with it after that.
Well, we never needed to purchase another, I'm thinking it might have been one of the police vehicles, being that state fleet, but,
Yeah. Present time, I don't know what it was. That was done before I took office, but it was right at the time.
Yeah.
And they never continued on with it after.
no, it's that one time just to purchase that vehicle.
Right, up
And we had to join at that time to do that.
To do that, yes. That may have been the old white car
It might have been.
at that time, remember?
Mm-hmm.
I think that was when Jack was here.
Yeah, it was still Jack
Yep,
and
yep,
Bob.
Yes, yes. Okay,
Okay, so do you wish to or not?
I'll make a motion that we
No.
continue on what we have, not
Okay.
be part of it. Okay?
I second.
Motion made with second. All those in favor, give their consent by saying aye.
Okay,
Ayes
next.
have it. So ordered.
The next one is from Act One.
Mhm.
They are, who are they doing this for? 1620 State Road, Mr. Curlin. They're getting a Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection general permit for the installation of sanitary sewer lateral under an unnamed tributary. There is one there? Okay. That's just notifying us they did that. We just had to sign that we did it. If you wish to comment or go against it for some reason, we'd have to send it into PennDOT and Act One. That's been wanting to get hooked up for a while. That's the one across from the auctioneer and Leonard's Oakwood that has big windows in it.
And I don't think we need any response.
Okay, and the next one is this email from a Mr. Dodson. They want us to put a resource site on the webpage for, where is that here? I know it's here. Dedicated to issues of hate and bias crimes. Do you wish to do that? We would put it on the, I don't know if we would put it on the police site, or would we put it on the site that has all the other, like, has the police and the EMS
It just
links?
takes you to another site.
Yeah,
You wish-
it's just a link.
I would wish to table this.
Okay.
Do a little bit more research on what they're about.
Yes.
Before we commit to anything that could be liable.
Oh, definitely.
Motion made to table, and I'll second. All those in favor, give their consent by saying aye. Ayes have it, so
Okay.
ordered.
That's all I have under correspondence.
Anything under old business?
I have the two officers that we tabled before. I'd like to ask for a vote, or do you want to?
We're gonna bring that into executive session here, okay? And then we'll come back out and handle that.
Okay. Under new business, we have the split heating cooling system for the police office. We now understand Mahoney recommended a 15,000 BTU for the police office. The other two recommended a 9,000. Do you have the quotes for those?
Is that heat or cooling on it, Helen?
That's both, heating and cooling.
They recommended
A 15,000.
on both.
Yeah. That's what it says here. And then it's 1 year labor, 2 year parts, 6 year compressor. Those are the warranties. Place it on the roof. Two of them wants to place it on the roof and one wants to place it on the wall.
On the wall.
Yes. That's Swenson was on the wall.
Okay.
Now, is this for the chief's office or is
Yes.
this for the other?
No, chief's office.
Well, that's a lot of BTUs for a small room.
The other two recommended 9,000.
Yeah.
Huh?
Well, you have to oversize on the heat pump on one side in order to get the heat out of the other side in the wintertime. they're more efficient as cooling than what they are as a heater.
Yeah.
When you get in the wintertime, as the temperature drops, they become less efficient or whatnot, and it gets cold enough, you have to go in auxiliary heat as a rule with them on a home heating installation. So they're usually, if you put a 2.5 unit into a ranch, I used to install these things myself. If you put them into them, you went to a 3-ton because you needed an extra compressor capacity in the colder weather to extract the heat out of the cold outside and put it in your house. Summertime, it takes the heat out of the house and puts it outside.
Yeah.
Is what the transfer is. So I questioned those numbers the other day on that one. When I took a look at that, I felt that the one with 9,000 was about right. I'm not familiar with how the efficiency's changed over the years, but we did have one model in mind that I think that we need to speak for and get a price on it so that we're not dealing, apples to apples on the bids all the way through.
Yep.
I'll make a motion that we got those proposals, that we look at doing this and moving in that direction. Let the supervisors, and let us get back to these people and tell them that's what we're looking at.
Okay.
And
Yes.
so that the installation is the same and equal for everybody. Putting one on the side out there with the compressor unit out there and putting the unit in the wall is one thing. Putting it up on the roof and cutting another hole down through the roof or et cetera to get in your coils is another thing.
Yes.
And to get the wiring up there becomes a different matter.
Well, all of them were talking about bringing the wiring over from the panel underground, the basement.
The basement.
And then coming up and doing it.
Okay.
The two that wanted to put it on the roof decided the basketball court right there and it becoming a target.
And I agree with that. The ones out on this side, out along here, when we had the proposals before, those people wanted to hang them on the wall.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And because of the efficiency and of the way that the installation went.
Yeah.
I threw it out there as a proposal, put it out there to take a look at it. The township needs to take a look in advance at replacing these units.
Yeah, because it's getting more expensive to fix them.
You lose a compressor up here, you're gonna be putting more money back in it than what that old rusty unit is worth. Time to look at it different way.
Yeah, and then Mahoney's here gave us also a quote for the sewer authority budget or budget number type of thing.
Okay. And if you put one in the police department, one in the sewer authority, is the reason why I want to stay with that. You can take one propane unit, boom, out of system.
Yeah, but then we have to worry about room 4 not having any heater.
Okay, but that system, while it's still working, can shut the ductwork off and supply that off of the thermostat.
Yeah.
But you have it offline, you wouldn't need it for a room it's not used.
Correct.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And then that could be a look at the next year if you want to continue on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question, Henry.
Yeah, Jesse.
You have a rubber roof on this?
Yes.
Is it a bonded roof? Meaning, is there a guarantee of leakage? And does the roofing company make the,
That roof is put on there, oh my, I tell you what, that roof
Before your
was
time,
put
wasn't
on
it?
before I disappeared for the 13 years that I wasn't a supervisor. That roof is one of the last things that was put on. I'm trying to think when that roof was put on.
That would have been...
That roof's gotta be 20, 25 years old, Jesse. The rubber roof up here.
Yeah.
We've made repairs, we've washed all the seams.
oh, you've done it yourself?
Yeah, we've done it.
It's not a bonded roof?
No, because that was way
Okay.
out, you know. We have people come in and take a look at it, what they wanted. Used to work in the roofing business, was familiar with it. We got the stuff, we opened up the seams, we washed them, we resealed them, and we got rid of the leaks.
Yes.
And so we had places like that. We put new uncured rubber flashing around the areas where it need, and it healed up the leaks. So that's what the story is. The day's coming when the roof is really in good shape, except what happens to them is the seams, when they overlap them, they're the first to show wear. And all you can do is you got to open them up, wash them out, rub them off, put the new paste on, put them back down, and you have to put the sealer on, the uncured rubber caulking on them like they were originally. And we got a lot of service out. Roof holds water up there at the present time, and we got rid of the leaks that we had. That roof's been on there a long time. Still looks pretty good. Okay,
Next thing is the fee schedule.
fee schedule, yes, you have for the fee schedule there.
We're looking at two, let me think here. I think it's just two changes at this point. One is in our building permits, we don't have anything for just a shingle repair. With Glace, we just did the application fee and the township fees. I'm recommending that for a roof repair that does not need any inspections to give us our township fees of $16. And the other one is to deal with the wireless. A connection fee under the wireless license of $125. You want to explain this one? This is to do with the, with the
Yes.
people coming in.
Okay. We need that fee schedule adopted for out here on the cell tower out here on what you call that fee. I make a motion, we adopt a resolution to accept the fee schedule on those two items of $125 for the one for connection fee and the $16 for the other.
For the roof.
For the roof, yes.
I second.
Okay, motion made with a second. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye. Aye. Ayes have it, so ordered.
Okay, did we vote to table the split heating?
I move to table the heating issue.
Okay.
Second?
I second.
Okay, motion made with a second. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, so ordered. Okay, this time we're gonna enter into, Pickles, need you to stay. When Pickles goes back out, how long we need you to come out.
Okay.
Okay?